live, and you can also catch the recording later. So I just published the blog for our blog section on the PCSNM website, and this week I talk about asana. What is asana? What is the word asana in yoga? Asanas are postures. So I'm briefly going to talk about that or in the blog when you check it out, because asana is what we do. We practice yoga postures, which are asanas, but they are a gateway into our meditation practice. So that is our intro for today. I hope you catch the blog, and I hope you catch the class.
Yes, and I'm going to stay on here on the relevant app.
So again, welcome everyone. Nice to see you all in studio and at home. So I want to welcome everybody to join me in this wonderful, luscious class. I just mentioned that I wrote the blog this week about asana and what that word means as it pertains to yoga asana, which are postures. Postures are the shapes that we make with our bodies. And so I go a little bit into where that derives from. And on that, I want to touch on this book called The Radiance Sutras by Roche, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This gentleman has written this amazing book based on the Sutras of Patanjali. And just briefly, the Sutras of Patanjali are basically the foundation of yoga. And this was written in 400 BC. So this is the ancient text that has given us the foundation for yoga, written by the seer Patanjali. And this is Lauren's interpretations of the sutras. And basically, I don't think you could see this here, but if you look at there's Sanskrit, and then there's a pronunciation, and then there's an interpretation. And I often refer to this book, and now you know why I often refer to this book. And so today I'm going to start with a reading that basically just connects us to the practice that we're going to do today. So I believe I kind of lost my page because my little thing fell out. All right, so let me find my place. Okay, so what I want to touch on is the feel of our body when we come to this place of stillness after movement. So in our practice or in our class, we first come into a place of meditation to center ourselves, ground ourselves, and to set the intention for our practice. And then we move, and then we end in a meditation practice. But what I'm going to read is basically, this is the gateway to our meditation practice. So if the physical body clears, when we move the body, we clear the mind, we increase our focus, and we make our bodies more pliable with the intention to be able to sit in meditation for a longer period of time with a clear mind and focus. So it makes sense. So I will be reading Sutra number 19 in the book, and it goes like this. Bodies feed sound. Sonic waves on inner waters nourish every nerve. Vibrations strengthen bones. Ecstatic undulation awaits you. Take a bite of crunchy K, slippery S, and rugged R. Enjoy a yummy vowel, ah, eh, e, or oo. Throw it in a bowl and treasure the impact on your tongue. Cream, shreem, ram, yum, hreem, lam. Pronounce a sound out loud, then whisper softly. Now you hear your inner ear. Allow the resonance to enchant you within. The sound goes on resounding, continuing itself as the hum dissolves into silence. Be nurtured in the tenderness of infinite space. So this resonates with me with regards to sound healing and what comes in when we practice. It also covers the seed sounds of the chakra system in our bodies. And all of these practices, when it comes to sound, movement, meditation, they all align with the practice of yoga. So on that, we're going to begin our physical practice today. And we're just going to ground in for a moment and feel your feet grounding points connect to the earth. So it's just so beautiful how everything comes full circle, even when you don't think it's there, but you will feel it. So softening the gaze or closing your eyes, knowing that things will align with you. Feel the two pelvic points connect to your chair. So really grounding you in. And then just take a moment to sway back and forth. A little rock back and forth where you can feel the pelvic points underneath you. And then bring the shoulders to stack over the hips. From here, bring your awareness to the crown of the head, and then feel that golden rope reach up towards the heavens, lengthening your spine, creating that space between the vertebra for room, space for the energy to move. And then as you think for a moment to inquire about what it is that you need today, and reflecting that in your hands, palms down to ground, palms up to receive, or in a Gyan Mudra with the index fingers and thumbs touching. I know that Matt and Sandy touched on mudras yesterday, and the Gyan Mudra is the mudra that connects us to our inner wisdom, as there are many mudras that can connect to bring in different things into your life or get rid of or release. And so Gyan Mudra, connecting the index fingers and the thumbs. The index fingers and the thumbs are connected to the pineal gland and pituitary gland in the brain, which are our intuitive antennas. So when we connect these fingers together and let them touch, they are connecting to those glands in our brain. And as we do that, take those breaths really nice and deep through the nose. Exhaling nice and long. Bring your awareness to the fingertips and then really press into those finger points of the thumb and the index finger. As you tap into your breath, begin to lengthen the inhales and exhales. And I usually have us bring our hands together in Anjala Mudra, and you are definitely welcome to bring your hands in that position, which is prayer hands at the heart. So today we'll have the option to either leave your hands in Anjala Mudra or where you have them, or bring them into prayer hands close to your heart as we set the intention for our practice. It is intention that drives our actions, And it is these intentions we carry with us through our practice and into our daily lives. Let's take a deep breath in together through the nose. Long exhale out through the nose. Let's swallow at the back of our throats. And we can flutter our eyes open and release the hands. And then let's float our hands down by our sides, coming into a soft mountain pose. From here, let's inhale our arms up over our heads, and let's bring the palms together. Palms come to heart center. On the exhale, inhale, let your palms rise. Flip the palms, exhale, press everything away. One more time, let your palms rise above the heads with the inhale. And on the exhale, bring them down to heart. So let's take a moment here, release the hands on your lap. And I just want to describe a physical movement really quick. And this is just to bring in an awareness of how your body enters the postures at the beginning of a practice or at the beginning of an hour, and how you feel at the end of a practice. So at the beginning of a practice, I make sure that we warm up our entire body. And the reason is because if we do any kind of twists or any kind of movements, we want to make sure that we warm up the body, warm up the joints, and loosen up the muscles and the fascia to get our movements going in an easier, to access those movements with more ease. So if we take a moment here to lengthen our spine through the crown, take a moment to bring the left shoulder back, just slightly, just a soft, gentle movement of bringing that shoulder back and taking the gaze with it. So we're not pressing or pushing this movement, we're just taking that shoulder back gently, and then come back to center, gently take the right shoulder back with the gaze, and then come back to center. Now, I won't ask you what you feel right now, but just notice what you feel and how it feels. And then we're going to begin to warm up. So let's take that left ear to the left shoulder. Bring your head back to center. Bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Come back to center. Let's inhale both our arms up above our heads. And exhale, release. Bring the arms down on the exhale. Let's reach back with our arms, open up the chest. And then gently lower the hands by your sides. Roll the shoulders back. Hands can rest on the lap or stay by your side, taking the gaze again over to the left side. So you're just getting into the neck and shoulders. Bring the gaze all the way over to the right. And then gently bring it back to center. Take the chin down towards the chest. And then gently coming back up to center, chin parallel to the floor. All right, so from here, let's briefly bring that left knee towards our chest. And from here, we can flex the foot point and rotate both directions. And release there. Let's take the other side with the help of our hands underneath our thigh. Guide that knee towards the chest, flexing the foot, pointing the foot, and rotating both directions. And release. All right. Let's sit up nice and tall, realign, and then on the next breath, let's raise the heels and press into the toes. And then lower the heels, lift the toes. Next breath, let's raise our arms. Inhale, arms come up, lower the toes. Raise the heels, exhale, press everything away. Inhale, arms come back up again. Lower the heels. Exhale, press everything away. Lift the toes, ground the foot in mountain pose. Palms face forward. Toes are nice and lifted. Foot is nice. Feet are nice and grounded. And then from here, let's spread the toes and then lower the toes back to the ground. And then stretching the toes out and pulling them back in like we're grabbing an object or a pencil. And then gently releasing, maybe tapping the toes, release that. All right, let's release the arms. And then let's get into just some rotations in the ankle, starting on any side that you feel like. I'm starting on the left side and rotating both directions. Other side, other ankle, just getting it moving. And if you've been standing a long time or even lying down, sometimes the ankles could swell. So doing these kind of movements really gets into the fluid and moves it around. All right, so from here, let's take the left thigh. We're going to get into the hip joints. So let's take the left knee, and we're going to lift that leg. So we have two options here. One is we can lift the leg and move with our own body weight and resistance. The other is to assist the thigh. So what you want to do depends on you and how you want to feel it. Begin to rotate the knee. So here you can hold on to the chair, you can have your hands on your lap, or you can guide your knee if that helps alleviate some of the tension in the joint. And then let's go around. And the rotation of the hip depends on your movement and what you feel or what you want to feel. And then let's release. We're going to lift the right leg now. And then we'll begin the rotation any direction. So if you're using your own weight without assisting with your arms, the hip joint's going to get a little tired faster. And that's okay. And then let's rotate the opposite direction. And then bring that foot back, that leg back. So we're sitting hip distance apart, feet are nice and aligned, toes point forward. All right, so from here, let's bring the thumbs to the hip joint, right where the thigh meets the hip. Take an inhale, gently press those thumbs down into the thigh, lengthen through the crown at the same time. So feel that space in the stretch of the spine, so the space created within the vertebra. Pull the navel in, take another breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to begin to rotate the torso around the pelvic bowl. Any direction is fine. And we are just supporting the movement here. Sometimes we can be a little bit stiff. So you can break down the movement in smaller movements if that's easier for you. And last round, we're going to come back to center. Let's inhale, lengthen, pull the navel in, and then go the opposite direction. So the reason I usually have us come back to center, inhale, and lengthen is because when we begin to rotate the torso, let's come back to center, and I say pull in the navel. It's pretty hard for all of us to keep that navel tucked in the entire movement we're going around the body. So that's why we reset and realign, pull the navel in, and that's just the practice as we go, and my job is to remind you to do that. So let's inhale, arms come up. Exhale, float the arms down. Reach back, open up the chest again. Broaden the collarbones, really press that chest. Forward, shoulders are back. Palms face each other. And then arms float back down. This time, roll the shoulders forward. So what we're doing here also is we are moving the energy in the body. So if I were to read your chakras at the beginning of a practice, something might be closed or blocked. guaranteed that probably at the end of practice you will be completely open, which is a beautiful thing. And that's what is beautiful about moving the body. All right, so from here, let's inhale that left arm, bring it over the left ear, reach through the fingertips. And then that right arm can just be in any position you want. You can place it down, palm forward, palm in, or just let it relax. And then float the arm back down, other side. Inhale, right arm rises over the right ear. And then gently float it back down. This time we're going to repeat and we're going to bring the opposite arm behind us. So let's inhale that left arm over the left ear. And then that right arm will come behind us and we'll reach over. And then float back the arm on the exhale. And release the other arm. Inhale, right arm comes over. And then that left arm reaches back. And then gently float the arm back down. So if you don't have that rotation in the shoulder, that's okay. Arms come back up. We just do what we can. And then from here, reach up, arms parallel to the ears. And then gently soften the shoulders. Bring the shoulders back down. Let's reach up again. On the inhale, exhale, soften the shoulders. From here, flip the palms, bring the arms down, and then shake it out because that can sometimes feel intense. Okay. All right. Let's inhale, arms come up. Exhale, open up to cactus. Bring the elbows together, and then open back up. Extend back out. Bring the arms to cross in front of you. Give yourself a hug and just notice which arm is underneath, opening up the backs of the shoulders, taking a breath. And then from here, let's open up again. Opposite arm comes underneath, and giving yourself that hug. Pull the navel in. Reach through the crown. And then let's extend back out and float the arms back down. Arms on the lap, hands on the lap. All right, let's do our first forward fold. Let's inhale, arms come up. Look up at the palms. Let's reach back for a little micro back bend here. Now we are a bit more warmed up. Exhale, float the arms back down, going into a swan dive, into your forward fold. Release the neck here. And then you can take the neck and maybe take that gaze over to the left, to the right, or maybe take a nod. From here, place the hands on the shins, lift the chest, slightly tuck the chin for your half lift. And then let's bring the hands to the lap, coming back to seated. Beautiful. Let's do a cat-cow sequence. Let's inhale, bring the chest forward. Take the gaze up. On the exhale, bring the chin to chest, round the spine, shoulders, move forward, tucking the tail. Inhale, lead with the heart. Take the gaze up. Exhale, chin comes towards the chest and tucking the tail. Continue back and forth for a few more breaths. Flexing the spine and stretching, getting it nice and supple. And then when you're ready, rolling back up to center. All right, inhale, arms come up. Look up at the palms, reach back. Exhale, flip the palms, swan dive down. Release the head here. Inhale, hands on the shins, lift your chest, coming into a flat back. And then hands come to the lap, coming back to center. Bring that left knee towards your chest and release. Right knee towards your chest and release. All right. So sitting up nice and tall, we're going to do a little practice here. So I often have us do chair pose, which chair pose is this pose here where we either sit and hinge forward or we lift and sit, or we can access that posture from standing. But I want to break down this posture today because when we lift and hover, sometimes it can be really hard to get that balance in the lift. And you'd be surprised how much effort it actually takes to actually lift the body. Low battery sign. And then come back down. So ground the feet in, sit up nice and tall, and then shift the weight forward. Ground the feet in and lift without standing all the way up. So hover here, trust that your chair is behind you because it is, and then we're going to lower back down. Okay, so we're going to do that a few more times. Inhale, lengthen. Here we're seated. Ground the feet in, shift the weight forward, and lift. Yes, so mindful here of your foot alignment. Let's sit back down. Bring the awareness back down to the feet. So if your feet are too far wide, the challenge to lift is going to be there. And then also if your heels pivot inward, I observed a student today who was having a really hard time lifting from the chair and her feet kept shifting inward. As soon as we adjusted and she kept her feet really grounded, she was able to lift more easily. So we can do this. Align the feet, hip distance apart. Ground the feet in. If you ground in, those feet are not going to shift. Shift the weight forward. Ground and lift. Yes, lift the chest. Gazes forward. And then gently come back down. One more time. Ground the feet. Shift the weight forward. Ground and lift. And you know, the toes will lift. We're not being super critical here. We're just noticing the awarenesses that come in doing these postures when we break them down a little bit. All right, so let's shift back down. Let's extend our legs out, give them a little stretch. Let's inhale the arms up. Stretch up and back. Stretch the legs out, and then let's float the arms back down. Okay, quick flow, and then we'll do a chair pose. Inhale, arms come up. Look up at the palms, reach back. Exhale, flip the palms, swan dive down. Going into your forward fold. Inhale for your half lift here, lift the chest, and then hands come back up all the way back to seated. Take a breath here. Inhale, arms come up parallel to the ears, coming into chair pose. Okay, so option to stay in the chair or hover over the chair. So let's inhale, pull the navel in, align your feet, really ground in here, and then we're going to lean forward. So we're hinging at the hips to make that V shape with our bodies. Ground the feet in and lift. We're coming into our chair pose here. Lift the chest. Sit a little lower. Continue to breathe normally. Notice the alignment of your feet. Have they shifted? Micro adjust. And then gently lower the arms. Let's sit back down. Whew. All right, shake it out. You guys did great. It's not easy. All right, let's inhale, arms come up. It looks easy, but it's not. All right, let's take a look at our palms here. Let's reach back. Exhale, flip the palms, swan dive down. I hear those yawns, and those yawns are good. Lower the head. And come back with your half lift, hands on the shins, lift the chest. It's really true. And then hands come back to the lap, coming all the way back up. It's energy we need. All right, so now let's take that left shoulder back and take the gaze with it. Okay, so remember we did this at the beginning of class. Come back to center, and then take that right shoulder back, take the gaze with it. Oh, that's a cool album now that I can see. All right, and come back to center. So notice that when you did this twist this time, you had a little more flexibility in your spine. So just an awareness from the beginning of class, now we're entering towards the end of class, you really feel your spine is a bit more supple and you're a bit looser in the spine to do these twists, and it's much safer. All right, so ground your feet. We're going to lift again, and we're going to come into standing. After all that, let's do a downward facing dog because that feels so good. So hands can be on the back of the chair, or if you want to take it on the floor, you can. That feels good to you at home. Take a few steps back here. So extending the arms forward, we're going to begin to shift the hips back. Feet are hip distance apart, toes point forward, heels behind the toes. From here, bring the ears parallel to the biceps. All right, so if you're doing this at home, spread those fingers nice and wide. Okay? Everyone, or on the floor or on the chair, spread those fingers nice and wide. If you're on the floor, press that index finger and the thumb in to ground them. Lift the hips up. From here, shift the hips back. With the chair, reach the arms forward, and then let's bring those arms into their sockets. So you'll see that shift there. I'm going to reach forward again. And then I'm going to bring those shoulders back into their sockets. Inner elbows are pointing towards each other. Shift the hips back again. If you're on the floor, lift those hips up. Maybe walk the dog, lifting one heel after another, bending one knee after another. And we all can do that right now. And then I'm just going to move my hands to hold on to the back of the chair to release the upper back. But I'm just going to continue to move one knee after another, lifting one heel to give my hips a little shift. And then I'm going to bring my heels back to center, back to ground. And then I'm going to lift and walk forward. And then you can walk your feet to meet your hands if you're on the floor. Inhale, let's bring our arms all the way back up, root to rise, arms come back. Let's press the palms together and then bring them down to heart. Beautiful. All right. Let's do a balance pose. So let's take a step back with that left foot. We're going to inhale our arms up. Let's shift our weight forward and then lift that left foot up. We're going to do a little Superman here. So you can hold on to the chair. We don't have to go all the way down. We'll just take a nice angle here and then gently lift back up. Okay, easier than it looks. Let's float the arms back down, roll the shoulders, or however you want to loosen those arms back up. All right, and then we're going to realign again. Let's take a step back. Inhale the arms up, parallel to the ears. Shift that weight forward to that left leg and then lift that right leg, and we take a hinge like a Superman flying. And if you wobble out, you just get back in, because it's just fun practice. And then come all the way back up and then gently float the arms back down. All right, let's inhale, arms come back up, and exhale, release. Arms float back down, reach back, interlace the fingers, let those wrists reach towards the heel, open up the chest, bring those shoulders back. Feel how good that feels. And if the bind is available to you, see if you can bring those palms closer together. Take an inhale and let's reach the crown towards the ceiling, pull the navel in, and we're going to gently hinge forward at the hips, just going as far as is comfortable for you. And then if it feels good, maybe lifting those arms off the back and then gently coming all the way back up. and releasing. So that is a perfect posture for those who sit down a lot and slouch forward. Okay, so a wonderful computer. Yeah, so if you're like this all the time, you want to always do the opposite of that movement. Okay, so let's inhale the arms back up. And let's open up to cactus. Take a step out on the left side. And then from here, let's bring those elbows together. Bring them back out. Pivot the heels inward. And then let's bend and go into a little goddess squat. And you can take a little wider step if that feels good. And then let's gently sway. Extend the arms out. Bring the arms behind you. If the bind is accessible, and then you can just come back to center. Lift the chest here. Let the hips sink. And then ground the feet. Gently press all the way back up. Release the bind. Arms come back. And then we sit back in our goddess and cactus arms. Reach out. Arms come behind us. Interlace the fingers if that's accessible. And if not, you can just reach back. And then from here, we're going to inhale. Bring the arms all the way up. And then exhale. Release. Let's bring that foot back to meet with the right foot. Or just step back to bring the feet together. And then from here, see if you can really bring the feet together, toes to touch, and let the heels just give the space in the heels, like maybe about an inch or so. All right, so a little different stance, if it's accessible to you, to bring those feet a little bit closer together. And then open up the palms here forward. A little different stance, just to feel what it feels like. Take an inhale. Lift the chest, pull the navel in. Lower the shoulders. All right, let's take a seat. All right, so let's butterfly our feet here for a moment. Bring the soles of the feet together. So we're opening up the hips here a little bit more. So if you have a block, I've really been enjoying placing my feet on a block when it comes to butterfly, seated butterfly. And it feels really good because it just lifts and opens up the hips a little bit more. So option to stay here the way in butterfly pose to take your Shavasana. Or you can bring your feet back into alignment into your regular posture, seated posture. And then we're going to begin to soften the gaze or close our eyes. And we're going to get into the best place where we absorb all of the benefits of everything we just did. So our body here, and that's why Shavasana is so important, is to integrate. Hands can be palms down to ground, palms up to receive, or always invited into the Gyan Mudra, softening the gaze or closing your eyes. Connecting back with your breath, in and out the nose. Softening the shoulders. Breathing into any tension that you may be feeling. Loosening the jaw, relaxing the tongue on the palate. Smoothing the forehead and relaxing the brows. And going into a deep relaxation to absorb and integrate everything and all of the benefits of this practice. Enjoy your Shavasana. As you keep your eyes closed, continue to breathe through the nose. The journey begins here, with whatever is capturing your attention. Are you gazing at the patterns on some wall? Are you daydreaming about being a celebrity? Or a celebrity? Is there someone you love and long to cling to, disappear into, a soul who is a chalice for beauty to pour into the world? Whatever your focus, give your whole being. Gradually, step by step, the infinity from which you both have emerged will encompass you with blessing. Begin to wiggle the toes and the fingertips to bring back awareness into the body. And when you're ready, bringing your hands in Anjala Mudra at the heart center. Join me in bringing your prayer hands up to your third eye as a reminder to think kind thoughts, down in front of our lips as a reminder to speak kind words, and back down in front of our hearts as a reminder to live life full of love, joy, and grace. Thank you so much for joining me today as I take that deep bow to you in honor of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Namaste.